watching you blow up from movie to movie to movie to the whole Rush Hour thing, and then it was like, poof.
Yeah.
Where's Chris?
I wanted to do more. That wasn't enough for me.
Chris Tucker was my last witness in our case.
I grew up idolizing Michael and became his friend. I feel such, being blessed as to know him, but Michael changed the world so much.
It's Michael, man. I miss him. Michael, king, man. Real life, true life king.
Chris Tucker was not just Hollywood's golden boy, he was also Michael Jackson's best friend. But after MJ's tragic demise, he vanished. Why?
Tucker, who I consider to be one of the funniest men alive, was wonderful to work with. And I just really think he's a wonderful human being. He's a friend of mine now. He's a great guy.
Was it connected to his friendship with Michael Jackson? A friendship so deep that Chris risked everything to defend him in 2005?
Chris Tucker was my last witness in our case. First of all, I had to think long and hard about whether we needed to put on a defense case, because I thought the cross-examination of the prosecution's witnesses was devastating to the prosecution.
And why did Cat Williams accuse the elite of taking Michael Jackson's life?
The fact of the matter is, we watched this get right in front of our own face. And the knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know.
And finally, did Michael's tragic death change Chris Tucker forever?
I went back to my roots because I wanted to just get back to where I started from.
Chris Tucker wasn't just another fan of Michael Jackson. He was one of the King of Pop's closest confidants, a friendship that transcended the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Their bond began in the early 2000s when Michael personally reached out to Chris after watching Rush Hour 2. Chris often recounted this moment with his trademark humor, mimicking Michael's soft-spoken voice to the delight of fans. Chris Tucker, this is Michael Jackson, Michael had said. I just wanted to tell you, you're kicking with the wrong leg. What started as a fan admiring a comedian's unique style blossomed into a close, enduring friendship. Michael, famously private and selective about the company he kept, saw in Chris not just humor but sincerity, a kindred spirit who could make him laugh and feel at ease. The two became inseparable, sharing adventures that were as heartwarming as they were hilarious. They spent countless hours together at Michael's Neverland Ranch, where they indulged in simple joys like watching movies or racing go-karts. Michael's sense of childlike wonder found a perfect match in Chris's infectious energy.
Michael was the greatest entertainer ever and the biggest entertainer in the world, but he was the nicest guy in the world, man. He was just nice, man. I would go to Neverland and I would say I like something, he would give it to me. And I said, Michael, I like that big screen TV. He was like, you like it, Chris? I said, yeah, I like it. He said, do you love it? I said, I love it. Next day I go home, Michael would send the TV to my house.
But their antics weren't confined to the ranch. Stories abound of their excursions, like sneaking into movie theaters together, with Michael's iconic status causing quite a stir. Chris once shared how fans mistook him for Michael's bodyguard during a shopping trip. Laughing as he recounted the chaos, Chris said, "They thought I was his bodyguard. I was like, Michael, they're pushing me out the way." But their friendship wasn't just about laughter and fun. It was tested in the most public and dramatic way when Michael faced accusations in 2005. As the pop star's world crumbled under scrutiny, many of his so-called friends distanced themselves, unwilling to jeopardize their reputations. Not Chris Tucker. When Michael needed support the most, Chris didn't hesitate. Despite advice from his managers, agents, and lawyers urging him to stay out of the legal fray, Chris took the stand during Michael's trial. His testimony was a bold statement of loyalty and courage. He recounted how Michael had helped him financially during difficult times and described the accusations against his friend as unfounded. Tom Messereau, Michael Jackson's defense attorney, praised Chris's unwavering support, saying, "Chris Tucker will always go down in my book as one of Michael's most loyal friends. He said, 'Michael needs me. I'll be there.'" His heartfelt words added a humanizing layer to the King of Pop's defense, helping to tilt public opinion in Michael's favor during a turbulent time. This testimony was pivotal in the trial, but being so publicly tied to Michael came with consequences. Tucker's grief was evident. Friends noticed his retreat from the public eye, and from Hollywood altogether. In interviews, Chris admitted Michael's death shook him to his core. He felt disillusioned with fame and the industry.
Miss Michael, man, I miss him. Michael was king, man, real life.
like true like king.
At the time, the gossip columns began buzzing with rumors about Tucker's refusal to accept certain roles. He became selective, turning down lucrative offers that didn't align with his vision for a diverse and meaningful career. Some industry insiders labeled him as picky, while others saw it as a rebellion against being typecast. Chris Tucker stepping away from Hollywood got people talking. Fans hoped he'd make a big comeback, while others wondered if he'd lost his spark. But the truth is, Tucker wasn't happy with how the industry treated him and other black actors. He walked away because he wanted more than what Hollywood was offering. For years, Tucker was stuck in a loop of being offered the same kinds of roles. Loud, over-the-top characters that played into tired stereotypes. It felt like the industry couldn't see past his skin color, boxing him into a narrow idea of who he could be as an actor. This wasn't just about typecasting, though. Tucker, like many black actors, faced a deeper issue: Hollywood's habit of reducing black men to shallow roles that stripped away their complexity. Instead of giving him parts with real depth, the industry kept him in a corner, reinforcing damaging ideas about black masculinity. So Tucker made a bold choice. He stepped back from the spotlight to find freedom. He wanted to explore life on his own terms, outside Hollywood's control. For him, it wasn't about fading away. It was about breaking free from a system that refused to let him grow. But was his exit more than personal? Some speculate Tucker feared being targeted himself. Could Tucker have been protecting himself by walking away from Hollywood? Enter Cat Williams, the outspoken comedian who has never shied away from controversy. In multiple interviews, Williams has claimed Michael Jackson's death wasn't natural. Cat Williams just dropped bombshell footage revealing exactly why Michael was targeted by the elites.
And the fact of the matter is, we watched this nigga get murdered right in front of our own face. And the nigga knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know. He named his last tour, This Is It.
But is this another attempt to silence the truth, or is there more to the story? Was Michael Jackson unalived? Michael Jackson was no stranger to controversy. From his battle with the press to his legendary rise and tragic fall, Jackson's life was always in the spotlight. But in the months leading up to his death, Michael's distress became more apparent. He was paranoid, fearful, and desperate. He knew the walls were closing in on him, and he believed his enemies were getting closer. These chilling words came just days before Michael's death, but his fears weren't new. He had been warning those close to him for years, telling anyone who would listen that the powers controlling the music industry were dangerous. But what happened next shocked the world. Was Michael really the victim of a calculated unalivement plot, or did his own tragic lifestyle catch up with him? Michael Jackson had been a part of the music industry for his entire life, from the Jackson 5 to his solo stardom. But by the late 1990s, the king of pop was starting to see the darker side of fame. His music was a global phenomenon, but behind the scenes, Michael was battling forces that were determined to control him.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil. I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret.
Michael wasn't just speaking about personal disputes. He was uncovering something far bigger, a network of control, greed, and manipulation within the music industry. But why did he single out Tommy Mottola? Tommy Mottola's name is synonymous with power in the music industry. As the head of Sony Music, one of the largest and most influential record companies in the world, Mottola controlled the careers of countless artists who would go on to dominate the charts. Icons like Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, and even Michael Jackson himself worked under Mottola's reign, making him one of the most pivotal figures in shaping the modern music landscape. But beneath the glamour and success of working with such a powerful executive, darker allegations began to surface. Allegations that Michael Jackson would publicly reveal as he confronted the man he once worked for. In 2002, Michael Jackson shocked the world when he made an explosive public statement about Tommy Mottola. This wasn't just another celebrity feud or an artist unhappy with his label. Michael's words were filled with anger, fear, and the conviction of someone who had seen behind the curtain of an industry controlled by dangerous hands. Michael didn't hold back, calling Mottola a devil and accusing him of engaging in nefarious practices to maintain his power and control over artists. These weren't baseless claims from a disgruntled artist. According to Michael, Mottola was manipulating artists' careers, tapping their phones, and using intimidation tactics to keep them in line. Michael was determined to expose the truth, but speaking out against such a powerful figure came with heavy consequences.
He is a horrible human being, and we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
This wasn't just about music contracts or royalties. Michael Jackson had seen something far darker. He accused Mottola of being at the center of a system that preyed on vulnerable artists, using them until they had nothing left. But Mottola wasn't acting alone, according to Michael. He was merely a player in a larger, more sinister game, orchestrated by the elites controlling the entertainment industry. Jackson's words sent shockwaves through the music world, but they were also met with resistance from the media and industry insiders, many of whom worked closely with Mottola. One of the most revealing moments came when Michael recounted a conversation with Mariah Carey, one of the most successful artists under Mottola's control. At the height of her career, Mariah had been married to Tommy Mottola, and their relationship was seen as a fairy tale in the media until it ended in a highly publicized divorce. Michael claimed that after their breakup, Mariah confided in him, breaking down in tears and sharing the horrors she had experienced while being under Mottola's influence. According to Michael, Mariah described Mottola as evil, and Michael had to comfort her, knowing all too well the power Mottola wielded over his artists.
Said to me that this is an evil man. And Michael, this man follows me, she said. He taps her phone.
Mariah Carey's relationship with Tommy Mottola is just one example of how deeply intertwined power and control are in the music industry. While she was one of the most successful artists of the 90s, Mariah has since spoken about how suffocating her marriage to Mottola was, describing it as controlling and oppressive. Michael Jackson believed that Mariah's experience wasn't an isolated incident. To him, it was just one more piece of evidence in a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that revealed the true nature of the elites running the entertainment world.
Al said to me, look, this was supposed to be about about black artists and their treatment in the music business. I had no idea he was going to pull this stunt.
For Michael, Mottola was more than just a ruthless businessman. He symbolized everything wrong with the music industry, a figurehead for an elite class that thrived on the exploitation of talent. Michael's bold accusations against Mottola weren't just an act of rebellion, but a declaration of war against the very system that had made him a superstar. But in trying to fight back, Michael was risking everything: his career, his reputation, and eventually his life. The more Michael tried to expose Mottola and the hidden forces behind him, the more dangerous his situation became. In the months leading up to his death, Michael repeatedly expressed his fear of being framed and silenced. He believed that his outspoken criticisms of the music industry elites, including Mottola, had put him in harm's way. Michael knew too much, and that knowledge made him a threat. But was his battle with Tommy Mottola and the industry just the tip of the iceberg? In the eyes of the public, Michael Jackson was a troubled star, plagued by legal battles, addiction rumors, and financial difficulties. But behind the scenes, Michael was fighting a much bigger war, a war against powerful figures who would stop at nothing to protect their interests. As the king of pop's paranoia grew, so did the forces conspiring against him. His fight with Mottola, once a public feud, became a private struggle to stay alive, with Michael believing that his enemies were closing in on him. In the weeks leading up to his sudden death, Michael Jackson's life was filled with turmoil, paranoia, and an overwhelming sense of dread. The world knew him as the king of pop, a larger-than-life figure who had mesmerized millions with his music and iconic performances. But behind the scenes, Jackson was a man who felt cornered, isolated, and increasingly fearful for his safety. This fear was not just a fleeting anxiety, but something deep-seated, something that had been growing for years. And in the final months of his life, Michael began to leave clues, warnings that something sinister was about to happen to him. In 2017, one of Jackson's closest friends, Michael Jacobs Hagan, revealed a chilling detail that sent shockwaves through fans and conspiracy theorists alike. Jacob Hagan, who had been friends with Jackson for over 20 years, said that just weeks before his death, Michael handed him 13 handwritten letters. These weren't just personal musings or reflections. They were desperate pleas. In these letters, Jackson expressed a very specific fear that someone was trying to unalive him. He wrote phrases like, "They are trying to murder me, and I am scared about my life," clearly indicating that he believed there was a plot against him.
Me, a black star, most deaf quality. Good, so them bad hoes try me. They try me. This is Martin Luther King in the club.
These weren't empty threats or baseless fears. Jackson had reason to believe that he was in imminent danger. Over the years, the king of pop had repeatedly voiced concerns about powerful figures in the music industry who were out to control and manipulate him. His public accusations against figures like Tommy Mottola, whom he labeled as evil and a devil, were just the tip of the iceberg. In Michael's mind, the forces working against him were not just interested in destroying his career. They were interested in ending his life. The letters Jacob Chagan revealed painted a picture of a man who felt trapped, with no way out. Jackson's fear wasn't limited to Mottola or music executives. He believed the danger went far beyond them. In one letter, he specifically mentioned the pressure from concert promoters AEG, the company responsible for organizing his 50-concert residency at London's O2 Arena. In one of the letters, Jackson reportedly wrote, "AEG, make so much pressure to me. I'm scared about my life." This line suggested that Michael was under immense pressure, so much that it was taking a toll on his mental and emotional state. He felt that the very people who were supposed to help him resurrect his career were now orchestrating his downfall. But it wasn't just the letters that hinted at the looming threat. This wasn't just about money, contracts, or business deals. Michael feared he was up against a hidden network of elites who had the power to not only destroy his career, but take his life and manipulate the narrative afterward. In the letters, Jackson seemed to understand that his time was running out. His words suggested a man who had resigned himself to a terrible fate, knowing that no matter what he did, these forces were closing in on him. It's as if he knew his life would end in tragedy, and all he could do was leave behind these warnings, these breadcrumbs, for the world to find after he was gone. But who exactly was Michael talking about? Was his fear directed solely at Mottola and the executives at AEG, or was there something more sinister at play? Could these elites he spoke of be part of a larger, more complex conspiracy to silence him forever?
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time.
A video making rounds on the internet shows Cat Williams releasing some truth missiles about the passing of one of the greatest musicians of all time, Michael Jackson. In his usual no-holds-barred style, Cat Williams insinuated that the pop icon was eliminated by some of the industry players right before our very own eyes. Though all evidence points to the fact that Michael Jackson overdosed on medication, Cat Williams alleged that it was all planned. According to Cat, Michael Jackson knew it was going to happen and gave his fans hints of plans by some evil individuals to end him, but they didn't catch his drift. Cat claimed that one of the hints was when he named his last tour, "This Is It." He alleged that the pop icon knew he was at the end of his life and that he wouldn't survive to organize another tour, which is why he gave it that name. True to MJ's words, the This Is It tour happened to be his last, as he passed away in the same year that he made that announcement.
Knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know. He named his last tour, This Is It.
The comedian observed that MJ didn't make the announcement in a celebratory manner. Instead, he sounded like he was tired of fighting the evil in the industry, and he had given up. So, Cat Williams appears to think that MJ's passing was pre-planned by the industry greats who disliked the power he wielded. For context, in March of 2009, in a high-profile press conference, Jackson thrilled fans by announcing his This Is It concert residency at London's O2 Arena.
These will be my final show performances in London. This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it.
Although the career comeback wasn't solely due to the superstar's desire to perform again with mounting debt, This Is It was designed to show the public, who had been bombarded with sensationalized tabloid Wacko Jacko headlines for decades now, that Jackson still had what it takes as an entertainer, and its proceeds would help the pop superstar get on top of his spiraling finances. Michael Jackson had written new songs and was rehearsing multiple hours a day in preparation for the concert series. But as the production team prepped for the shows, Jackson's already erratic behavior worsened as opening night approached. Emotionally frail and physically thin, Jackson was described by his makeup artist Karen Faye as very upbeat, but he was on the thin side, Faye said of an earlier April 2009 meeting with Jackson. Come June, everything had changed. He was not the man I knew, Faye recounted. He was acting like a person I didn't recognize. During a mid-June rehearsal, Jackson appeared very stoic but frightened. According to Faye, he kept repeating, "Why can't I choose?" It was one of the things he repeated over and over again, Faye said, adding that she had never seen him so emaciated. What exactly happened to the pop superstar between the months of April and June to cause such a notable change in his appearance and overall well-being? In May 2009, AEG Live hired Dr. Conrad Murray as Michael Jackson's personal physician for the This Is It tour, though AEG later denied formalizing a contract. Murray's role was to ensure Jackson's fitness for the grueling 50-show schedule. By then, Jackson had been battling chronic pain for decades, stemming from severe injuries like burns from a 1984 Pepsi commercial and a 1999 stage accident in Munich. These physical ailments, coupled with anxiety and sleep disorders, led Jackson to rely heavily on prescription medications. Reports indicated he consumed up to 40 Xanax pills nightly. His dependency had already made headlines in 2007 when a pharmacy sued him over unpaid medication bills. As rehearsals intensified, Jackson complained of insomnia and fatigue. Murray admitted administering propofol to help him sleep, but later withdrew the drug after concerns about dependency. Show director Kenny Ortega noticed alarming changes in Jackson, describing him as lost, cold, and afraid during a June 19, 2009 rehearsal. Ortega recommended psychiatric intervention, but Murray insisted Jackson was fit to perform. Despite setbacks, Jackson returned to rehearsals on June 23rd in improved spirits. Witnesses praised his energy during his final rehearsal on June 24th at the Staples Center. That night, he thanked his team and appeared optimistic about the upcoming tour. However, Jackson's insomnia persisted. On the morning of June 25th, Murray reluctantly administered propofol after other sedatives failed. Tragically, this decision marked the end of Jackson's life, cutting short what was meant to be a triumphant comeback. On June 25, 2009, the world lost one of its greatest talents. But the circumstances surrounding Michael Jackson's death continue to raise questions. Was it a tragic accident caused by the negligence of his doctor, or was it something far more sinister? According to medical reports, the pop icon lost his life to overdosing on the prescribed surgical anesthetics and antidepressants. The records established that his personal physician administered the drugs to him the night before his passing, raising several eyebrows within the industry and the fandom.
Dr. Murray abandoned his patient who was trusting him. His patient was vulnerable under those circumstances, having been administered.
What many people found surprising was his personal doctor's failure to inform the paramedics and the physicians at the hospital of the drugs he had administered to MJ the night before. Even worse, the coroner's report indicated that the doctor had injected MJ with lethal levels of the medications. These revelations angered many fans, and they started calling for Conrad Murray's head. Soon, Conrad Murray was arraigned before the court and charged with voluntary manslaughter. The physician pleaded not guilty and told the press, "I have done all that I can do to help the police. I told the truth, and I have faith the truth would prevail." Murray's trial lasted for 6 weeks, with the jury given an extra 2 days to deliberate on the matter. On the 29th of November 2011, Murray was convicted and sentenced to 4 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter.
The court imposes the high term of 4 years imprisonment in this case. Pursuant to the Realignment Act of 2011 and the provisions of Penal Code Section 1170, Subdivision 8.
The prosecution argued that it was Murray's injections that caused the icon to lose his life and, therefore, pushed for a stiffer punishment. However, the doctor's defense argued that he should be put on probation instead of prison because he had no criminal record. As expected, the 4-year sentence angered the family and fans as they thought that Conrad deserved worse punishment than what was handed to him. The rumor mill then went into overdrive with a million explanations and theories about MJ's passing. One prominent theory surmised that MJ was eliminated on purpose, and the doctor was in on the act all along. Chris Tucker's friendship with Michael Jackson was one of loyalty, laughter, and mutual respect. Michael called Chris the funniest man alive. Chris called Michael a modern-day king. But beyond the jokes and anecdotes, their bond represents something deeper, a reminder of the power of true friendship, even in the face of immense pressure. As Tucker reclaims his place in Hollywood, his story remains intertwined with Michael's, a legacy of loyalty, laughter, and love. Chris Tucker disappeared, but he didn't fade away. He stepped back, found purpose, and now he's back to inspire a new generation. And through it all, he's kept Michael Jackson's spirit alive, a testament to a friendship that transcends fame and time. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.